Hi.
Also known as the Oracle. This is a character that first appeared in Journal 3 and only kinda sorta cameos in the Book of Bill if you squint a little bit. We've also connected some dots and speculated that Jessie here may have also been Bill's ex-girlfriend, but there were some within the community that disagreed with that interpretation. While everyone is on the same page,
Honestly, I do think that they were friends at one point. Um, which is why she was mentioned but also crossed out. I wouldn't say they were exes. I mean, that could be a possibility. Um, I saw this one headcanon that okay, this is not canon at all. I just saw it somewhere. People like, what if Pironica and Bill dated at one point? I think that's just a funny thing to mention. And then they broke up and just were better off as besties. But yeah, I personally never really thought of the Oracle as an ex of Bill rather than just like a friend who like kind of realized what he was doing was wrong and then kind of left. That's really all I got from that. But we don't really know much about her anyway.
Bill clearly has an ex. It's
Oh, he
made pretty
does.
obvious in the book. Others believe that Bill didn't have an ex-girlfriend, but instead an ex-boyfriend.
No, he did have an ex-girlfriend though. Okay, we need to mention the fact that he dated a Howling Void. He definitely, because in the Book of Bill, he talks about it a bit. People like in one of the pages, they was talking about like interviewing Bill, and he does have an ex-girlfriend, but I don't think she's gonna come up. The Howling Void, if you guys remember, he like said that he briefly dated and then scratched that word out and to replace it with the word new. But he did have an ex-girlfriend. But I don't think she's important. Yeah.
A character we know all too well, Stanford Pines.
Oh,
Your
I
math
can't.
is no match for my gun, you idiot!
So, first of all, this is great. Though I picked up on the bickering ex energy that Bill and Ford were giving off, an actual, literal romantic relationship was a possibility and perspective I didn't really consider when I was first diving
So
into
when
the
I first read the book, I did not consider. I thought they were just kind of being like, "Oh, the relationship kind of gives off that toxic ex vibe." But as you go into it more, you realize that even if they weren't dating, they definitely like had some sort of chemistry that was a bit more intimate than what Ford had originally mentioned when he talked about Bill the first time in the actual show. And why does it keep turning
Book
off?
of Bill. To me, it seems like something that Disney would be a bit too cowardly to actually explore. Regardless, I want to thank you guys for opening my eyes to the possibility. Plus, I think it's great that there are multiple solutions out there for these sorts of puzzles, and there's absolutely a place for competing ideas in these sorts of spaces. After all, everything we do is just a theory, and
Just
there
a
can be
theory.
multiple solutions to unanswered questions. And I gotta say, after sitting down and looking at the evidence, there's a ton of it for both Jesse and Ford being the ex-lover referenced in the book. So,
So Bill definitely, I think we need to just acknowledge the fact that Bill probably has multiple exes, whether some were more serious or like more like as a not something that really is important. Because like when he was talking about his exes, it looked like there were probably multiple names crossed out. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he had multiple, like I said before, if whether it was actually something intimate or if like it was like a one night thing going on for Bill, like a fling. I do believe that he has multiple exes. Like that's just he's a trillion years old. He gets around. That's what I personally think.
today, I wanted to really put our all-seeing pyramid eyes up to a microscope and examine both of these answers to see which one holds up better, if either of them do. Yep, that's right, friends. Today, we are finally doing another Morty. Well, I guess it's not really a Morty anymore. What did Tom call these over on Game Theory? Oh yeah, here's my absolute trash take on this really cool idea from the community. Here's,
Love
let me
that.
scribble that out and replace that with theorist, and voila, brand synergy.
Voila.
Leave your theories in the comments or subreddit. I'll pick my favorite in the next episode of Trash.
To kick things off, I think it's
I
worth
love
going
how
back
this is
over
classified as trash because like it's definitely an interesting idea of them being exes. Also, when I got this notification, I literally just got home from church and I was changing into like more casual clothing, and I saw this. I was like, "Ain't no way!" I was like, I saw it as a film theorist, and I was like, "What in the world is happening?" Like, I can't even
our
anymore.
original interpretation and adding some additional evidence for it. In case you need a catch up, in our Book of Bill videos, I proposed that Bill Cipher's ex-lover was Jessel Bram the Unswerving. But who exactly is this mysterious oracle, and what was leading us to that conclusion? Well, for starters, the Book of Bill heavily implies that Bill is hiding a past relationship from us, the readers, throughout its pages. In the My Exes section of the book, he crosses out the first few lines of text, insisting that his his former relationships aren't relevant or even existent. Yeah, sure, buddy,
Good
I do
one.
think the triangle doth protest too much. It's clear that this is just
Yeah.
another instance in a long line of Bill avoiding and confronting some difficult emotions. Now, the
Oh,
identity
yeah.
of this ex Bill clearly has is left up to interpretation. It could be Ford, it could be Jesse, it could be the howling void that he had a
Yes,
situation.
that's what I knew they were gonna reference that because he obviously dated her. Like it's so clear, it's crystal clear, clear as day that he dated her. He literally said it and then crossed it out. Like you could read it on the page when he's talking about the holidays. Like you cannot gloss over. I know it's probably not important, but it's definitely canon that he dated her. Blah 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 blah.
Relationship with in a one-time coffee date, even if a barcode in the love section of this book reads, "I miss the void when scanned."
You miss her. So he. Oh no. So that's like okay. So she must have been more important to him than he's gonna let. Maybe she's gonna be relevant. Like I know it's so tiny that like it might not pop up again, but low key, I feel like she might come up again. We need more Howling Void. Can we get more of that too? Just to explore the fact that like Bill definitely is capable of feeling love, but just doesn't know how to.
Yeah, I miss the void too, buddy, even if I stare into it every day. So,
What?
why did I think it was referring to Jesse? Well, a few reasons. Big one, basically, two of the only places in the entire book that Bill tries to scribble over information and make you as a reader move on are the sections involving his exes and the page revealing Jesse as one of the henchmaniacs. Yeah, in the
I didn't
section
realize
of the
she's a
book of Bill where we're introduced to Bill's friends and villainous crew of goons called the henchmaniacs, one of them is curiously scribbled over with red ink. While it's difficult to make out, if you look closely, you can see that this picture is clearly supposed to be Jessel Bram, and her name, Jessie, is clearly short for that full name. It really
Yeah,
stuck out to
definitely.
me that Bill had basically the same reaction.
I still don't think they're exes, but if they are, I wouldn't be surprised. I would be like it kind of makes sense. Like you can see it. And like, yeah, I know what he means. But personally, I just think they're friends. But if it like if Bill literally mentions, oh yeah, we dated, I would have been like, okay, well, there was evidence for that.
Telling us that both his ex and Jesse were unimportant or not
Mm-hmm.
relevant when basically nothing else in
Mm-hmm.
the book is. But the real relationship we should be looking at is the one between you and your internet connection, because you should absolutely be using the sponsor for
Oh,
today's.
no, no sponsors. Let's not do that. We don't How long do they yap about this? Oh, okay. They probably go back. Okay.
Just click the link in the description. Thanks again to
No.
NordVPN, and let's jump back into the Book of Bill. But on top of that, Jesse also has a lot of knowledge about Bill, more than most people in this universe probably could or should. Jessel Bram the Unswerving, aka the Oracle,
Yeah, I remember reading this because I literally just got the Journal 3 back. I got it for Christmas because I gave it away originally. Um, but yeah, I remember reading about her. Also, she did talk about Bill a bit. She was saying that he like destroyed his dimension on purpose. I don't think that's fully the truth because like I think it might have been an accident. But I remember reading about her and was like, why does she feel like she's so important? But like, why did I not know about her until I got the book of Bill, or like not just the book of Bill, but Journal number 3? Because I feel like she plays a bigger role than like she's been given. I don't know. Also, if you hear all this muffling sound in the background, I'm just like sitting down, my legs up against my desk. So, also, I'm using a phone to record this because I don't got no budget. So, hmm
first appeared in Journal 3, another real-life canon publication that Disney put out about Gravity Falls. During Ford's travels, he came across Jesse in Dimension 52, where she nursed him back to health after he was attacked by razor-sharp shapes in the 2D dimension. While she only had 2 pages in the journal, Jessel Bram's impact on the Gravity Falls lore was huge. We're told that, quote, she had some stunning insight about Bill, end quote, and intimately knew his history, how he killed his family and destroyed his home dimension. She also knew his weaknesses, and Jesse is also responsible for putting the metal plate in Ford's head that prevents Bill from re-entering
Oh,
his mind. She basically
but like the book said that he was only there for like a day or like a day and a night with Jessica. How did she do that so fast? Like, I thought that would take more time, or maybe they got more technology. I don't know.
gave Ford the key to defeating Bill. So
I
that
thought it was
then
a
begs
gun.
the
It had a
question,
cursor on
how
it.
does she know so much about Bill? Well, one explanation could be that all of her insight comes from her
Because she got in his pants.
clairvoyant powers. I mean, you don't get a title like Oracle for nothing. If you don't know, an
Oracle.
Oracle is someone who is able to speak prophecy. They can see the
Oh,
future, more or
okay.
less. This traces its roots back to the oracles of Delphi, ancient Greek priestesses who were thought to channel the foresight of the god.
Bro, what do these people do for research? Like, does this guy just go on the internet and scroll through all these different, like, um, like, different things all day? Like, how does he just know this stuff? Ain't no way he learned this off the top of his head. I would have never known.
Apollo for visitors who made the difficult climb up Mount Parnassus. This connection between the ancient Greek myth and Jessel is furthered by her home Dimension 52 being depicted as a temple atop a mountain, just like the oracles of Delphi. But as we learn in the Book of Bill, Jessie's stunning insight into Bill isn't just the result of her clairvoyance. No, she has first-hand experience of the triangular menace. Remember how we just talked about Jessie originally being part of the Henchmaniacs crew? Well, while her entry is noted as unimportant, her hidden blurb hints that this couldn't be further from the truth. She was very important to Bill's crew. It's hard to make out exactly, but Reddit user Blackberry Lulu did a pretty good job translating it as, the smartest one, figured out horizontal dimensional portals. Who needs her? Too many eyes anyway. Yeah, don't need her or her portals. Sure thing, bud. Don't know about you, but to me, that does sound pretty spiteful ex-adjacent. Angry ex-friend at the very least. And since they parted ways, Jessie has been doing so much work against Bill. We've already talked about how she nursed Ford back to health and gave him the power to resist Bill's abilities, but that's only scratching the surface. On the shaman page of the Book of Bill, there's a hidden code that translates to, which henchmaniac ratted me out? Well, Jessie used to be
I read that because I did translate some of these codes. That's like one of the only things I did when I was in the Book of Bill. I translated some codes. I had a little paper. I have a little notebook with it on it with like Bill's language. I think it's only Bill's language that I fully translated. The other ones I don't know what crap says.
Maniac, and given that this is on a page about Modoc the Wise, the first human Bill tried to sucker into building a portal for him, seems like she might have helped him out here too in the same way she helped Ford, and the same way she gave us the coordinates to Reality 34 where Bill has no powers. We talked about that in a previous.
So when I was, did you guys see the short I made when I was talking about everyone was like, what is Reality 34? I know technically speaking, I had a theory that I don't think is right, but I in the Gravity Falls Journal 3, they do briefly talk about how Ford came across like the perfect world, is what they called it, this different dimension where he was famous, he was still partners with Philiford. Stanley took his journal and like left, and like the entry said that Bill literally had no power there, or like that dimension was safe from Bill. So I thought that was like an interesting fact because it's like already been mentioned in the journal number 3. So it's like already the idea of that has already been there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go read it yourself. It's like when Forrest talking about his experiences in the portal, he briefly mentions it.
Theory. Whether you believe that this was a romantic relationship or
I can't
not,
rip it.
clearly Jessie hit a sore spot beneath Bill's bricks. Even if they weren't entangled, so to speak, I would be confident saying that she was likely one of his favorite henchmaniacs, if not the favorite. Her defining trait as the smartest one would be very attractive to Bill. Time and time again, Bill has sought out history's greatest minds, not just because they could aid him in building the portals, but because they could understand him on an intellectual level. Remember, Bill's backstory is one of an outcast mutant, someone who could see beyond his reality, and before he became the villain we know and love to hate, he just wanted his
I just love him, God. I just love Bill. He's such an icon. I feel like if he showed up in my room and would like want to make a deal, I would do it so fast without even considering the fact he'd probably like want me to kill my parents. Like it's not even healthy.
family to understand him and his worldview, before he murdered them all, of course. So much of Bill's core motivation comes from that loneliness and seeking others who could see from his perspective. To me, the hyper-intelligent Jessie is a clear candidate for the most important person in Bill's life during his quote-unquote glory days. And again, why a romantic connection there made so much sense to me.
What is this? Oh, what is this? Like, oh shoot, my phone tweaking. But where did they get that phone from? I can't even.
Perhaps I'm reading into a toxic partnership that was never a toxic romance, because as we said at the top of the episode, a lot of theorists have pointed out that there's a bunch of evidence showing that Ford Pines is actually Bill's big ex. So what is that evidence?
Well, that post, but like, yeah, I know, theoretically speaking, why would Ford date a triangle? But it's also like Ford would definitely date the triangle in the Lost Legends Gravity Falls book, which yes is semi-canonical, but still, it mentions he dated a siren, like you know those fish creatures. So like him dating another monster is not even like a shocker to me.
To start out, before meeting Bill, Ford was extremely lonely. He was
Aw.
unable to connect with people, partially because he lacked people skills and
I love
partially because his
BillFord.
intellect
BillFord,
alienated
toxic
him from
Yowie.
others. But after meeting Bill, Ford's journal entries light up with excitement. There's a marked shift in his worldview. He writes that meeting this extra-dimensional deity of knowledge was the greatest day of his life, and the two seem to hit it off immediately. Ford is in awe of Bill's wit,
Can we
intelligence,
talk
and
about
humor.
this page for a second? Because, like, the way Ford words things about one thing leading to another. Also, Bill's naked here. I hope you realize that. Like, his arms and legs are not blacked out like everything else is. Like, his hat and bow tie are. Also, where the heck are his bricks? So he might be naked here. I just wanted to point that out.
Early on, he can't help but repeat, "What a guy," while complimenting his new pal. Though this is scribbled out by the time we read the journal entries. Likewise, Bill repeatedly compliments Ford's talents and smarts.
So I know some people, I want to also talk about how, yes, Bill does admire Ford, but in reality, I do think this generally started out as Bill being like manipulating Ford, and this was all just to get Ford to trust Bill. Now, as they got to know each other, I think Bill learned to care about Ford and, like, maybe even liked Ford a bit, like that. But in reality, a lot of this was like him manipulating Ford. I don't think we should like look over that. Like, it's still incredibly toxic.
The two often find themselves thinking the same thing. At one point, Bill even says, "I'm starting to like you, Sixer," and Ford responds, "I'm starting to like you, Bill." Now, it's difficult to say whether Bill is being sincere here or just manipulating Ford,
Exactly,
but
that's what I
I
was
think
just saying.
both of these guys did feel somewhat relieved to find someone to connect with on a meaningful level after being alone for so long. In the love section, Bill describes human beings as a lonely species and views them as weak for wanting to form
Can we talk
relationships.
about the whole
But I
love
believe
cage
this
thing?
is just more
Don't
proof that
gloss
he's
over
insulting a
that.
feeling that he's unwilling to admit that he also experiences. I mean, just look back at the series. Though he doesn't explicitly say it, Bill has clearly been lonely in his life, in his home dimension.
But I wasn't always this way. Imagine living in the
I
second
love that when he snaps his fingers and Ford just like flops on the floor. Like, it's so funny.
dimension. Flat minds in a flat world with flat dreams.
But okay, that's some small stuff. What about something bigger? Well, a year into their relationship, Ford begins describing Bill as his muse, citing all of the wonderful ways Cypher changed his life for the better.
I
If you
can't with
don't
these
know,
two.
muse, along with being a really solid band, is a word that is
Oh,
used
I
to
love
refer to
that
someone
person. I love that person. They wrote a song called Stock. I can't remember they wrote. Sorry.
or something that provides an artist with creative
Also,
inspiration.
have you guys heard that song Muse by Isabella La Rosa? Is that her name? I don't remember, but y'all should listen to it because I cannot stop thinking about these two frickers every time it comes on. Wanna be your muse. You guys heard that song before?
Pretty much anyone or anything can be a muse. A person, a cat, a rock, the sky. As long as it can make you feel inspired and creative, it can be your
Aw,
muse. But
so
while the term
cute.
is often used platonically, it's also often used romantically. Like, you know what a common source
Ooh.
of creative inspiration throughout the ages has been? Someone you have a crush on, an
Oh,
unrequited love, your partner. There's a
oh,
reason why there's a billion love songs out there, people.
yeah,
And
there's
I
a
think I would be
lot.
remiss if I didn't mention the historic use of the term muse in a romantic sense within the gay
What?
community. For example, it's thought that famous Renaissance artist Michelangelo found a muse in a young nobleman named Tommaso de Cavalieri. The relationship between the two was said to have inspired many of Michelangelo's works, including poems and letters and drawings. Some have gone as far as to theorize that the famous statue of David was modeled after Cavalieri's own body. Dang, good on you, Cavalieri. Keep up the workout routine. So, when you look at the Book of Bill again with that context, it absolutely seems
I
like
cannot
Ford
with
is
these
using the
two.
term muse with that romantic connotation, describing a relationship between himself and Bill that
In a
seems more than
triangle.
platonic. Ford gushes that Bill picks him up when he's down, calms him down when he's anxious. Bill helps Ford stand up for himself when someone insults him and even leads him to the coordinates of new paranormal discoveries. Ford also claims that Bill has given him the ability to see an eighth color of the rainbow
Oh,
that
I
normal
remember
people
that.
aren't
Like,
able to
okay,
see.
I know Bill's like being manipulative and stuff like that, but like Bill really went all out on tricking Ford. He didn't have to go that far. It's all I'm saying.
That does seem pretty gosh darn romantic, and very much a way to literally get someone to see the world in a brand new way. A common way people
With
describe
so
their
many
outlook on
colors,
life
I couldn't
changing
see a
after
thing
entering a
without.
relationship. But the metaphors don't
Oh,
stop there, my friends.
oh,
After feeling disappointed that no one remembered his birthday, Ford learns that Bill possessed a swarm of rats
oh,
that
that was a
spell
little
out his
creepy.
name as a present.
Talk about the next
Afterwards,
page.
Bill
Talk about
offers
the
to
next
get
page
Ford
right now.
drunk and
Talk about
enter
it.
his mind, and once he eventually accepts, things get crazy. Apparently,
Oh.
quote, one thing led to another, together, end quote. Yeah, that is definitely cartoon code for they got it on.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, oh, I'm about to die. I knew it. I knew it. He's a monster effer. We all know it. We all know it. I can't even with this video. This video is giving me a reason to live. Hold up. Can someone mention that? Can somebody in the comments mention that? I'm gonna mention it. I'm gonna mention it. I'm gonna say, I can't believe that film theory. Peaceful theory. I mean, I'm gonna do it with the type. Sorry, I'm trying to type this theory. Actually thinks that Bill and Ford, I don't know why this is making me so happy. I'm gonna rewatch that, like, y'all. I knew they had to mention that. Hold up. I knew they had to mention that. Mm-mm. Don't say mentally. We all know that they did that. Y'all, this is making me. I'm sorry, I have to edit my comment. Because I got some typos. Got really all figured out. Ooh. I love that pansexual. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, mention it, mention it. Mm-hmm. Oh, I love this scene. Oh, sadly, I can't. Uh-huh. I can't. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, I saw that. Yes! 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 Hmm. I can't. His dupe? Uh-huh. Yes, now that I think about it, there was definitely some like coding that they had something in the show, and like you look back on it and you realize that what the heck, there was something going on. Toxic Yowie! I can't with this video. Yes! Film theory approves! Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't like say that's not a possibility. I can't see Bill and the Oracle as exes But, then again, maybe they were, or like at least close friends. Like, even with Ford, like they might have not dated, but they were at least close friends. Hear you me out. He's not. Like, you really do have to acknowledge the fact that Bill is toxic as frick and that he just doesn't know how to deal with emotions, and that even if he did care, he's not gonna show it in the right way. Oh yeah, I do think, now that I think about it, I feel like Bill disappearing was probably something he was doing to make Ford desperate. Mm-hmm. Okay, but for them Gucket, like they also had some queer interpretations that you can't ignore. Like they probably had something going on too. It's a love triangle. Really, really it is. You really have to acknowledge that. You really do have to acknowledge that. Uh-huh. So I really do want to know who Bill had his first relationship with. Definitely not the Howling Void. Maybe even somebody he knew when he still lived in Euclidia, because he probably was an older adult when he destroyed his dimension. But it'd be interesting to know who he like first had a relationship with. I wouldn't s- I wouldn't say that she's his first relationship. Like, guys, he's a trillion years old. I think it's got to be someone. I don't know who that would have been, but I don't think it's the Oracle. Oh, oh, yeah. He just realized that love ain't for me. Definitely, definitely. Oh, whoa. But, like, what if Bill was also abused? I don't know. I heard somewhere that a lot of abusers have been abused before, so maybe he has his own, like, toxic ex that's, like, toxic towards him. It's not cheese.